Welcome to the Ministry of Not Forgetting, a new institution committed to reimagining what it means to preserve cultural legacies.
The film came about when we were approached by our producer Beth Earle, who had been speaking to Marianne and the team around her about wanting to make a film with her. So she kind of had that set up and then invited us to meet Marianne and come up with some ideas for the film, what it might be, and see whether Marianne liked them. So we went to meet Marianne. We had a challenging but interesting first meeting, kind of got on, sort of warmed to each other.
And we were quite lucky. We had Nick Cave and Warren Ellis to vouch for us. So she kind of entered into trusting us. You know, she knew we weren't going to try and expose or exploit her in any way, and that the endeavour that we wanted to make with her was a truly artistic one, yeah.
Today we announce our first subject, Marianne Faithful, a 60s pop icon whose distinctive voice defined a generation.
To be honest, I didn't know too much of her work beforehand, and obviously took a deep dive when I got the role in this, and came to be a great fan of her music and all that she did. And this project, as is the point of it, sort of helped me reevaluate, in a sense, what I didn't know, and so therefore all I knew was the assumptions that had been passed down. And so I became a fan, but I must admit I didn't know her work that much beforehand.
Take a look at this 7-inch.
Sister Morphine.
I want to know all about it, about the writing, because this is where your writing began.
I knew I was really writing something very special.
God, the Ministry of Not Forgetting, it was a setting to begin with, and we kept kind of describing it. You know, there's somebody in there talking to Marianne, and there's archive, and then oddly it sort of took shape in our imagination. We didn't go out looking for it; it kind of formed itself, and what it began to offer very usefully was a really interesting way of editing, meaning we could go sideways from department to department. We could have a recording studio or a research studio, we could have the room that Marianne's in, all of these different things all happening at once, and go in and out of, surveillance and TV screens, sort of slip and slide around, which allows a really flexible, fast, dynamic way of getting as much as it's getting through as much as you want to.
No. It's a complete misunderstanding, the entire project. Well, for a start, you've made it all about remembering. We're about not forgetting. But, yes, of course there's a difference.
It was like nothing I've ever done, because we had these, I guess, sort of what were scripts in a sense, because they're scripts just so that I knew I had the archive that I would show her in each interview session. But of course those scripts go out the window as soon as we actually have the conversation, because you can't script what Marianne's going to say. And then I also had an earpiece from Iain and Jane, who live, kind of like a news anchor, would be saying, okay, lean on that, actually pull back from that, remember, get back to this. So it was this sort of hybrid scenario of trying to learn a kind of the shape of a conversation whilst reacting totally to how the conversation would go naturally, whilst being directed live as to how to navigate that conversation in a sort of hybrid character that is very close to yourself but also not yourself. So it was this sort of beautiful hybrid way of working.
To be in the studio with the Stones was good, but to be in the studio with Mick working on a song that we'd written together was a wonderful sort of bond.